You are listening to CPA Career Path Podcast with Rosie Flaherty, CPA MSA. This is episode number 48. Today we have a special guest, Zach, a CEO and president of Mass CPA. It's very special because actually I am in his office in Boston. So Zach, can you just introduce a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, welcome, Rosie. It's so awesome to have you here in our office and to welcome you to Mass CPAs as a new member of ours.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you. Sure. So I'm Zach Dona. As you said, I'm the president and CEO at the Massachusetts Society of CPAs. Mm-hmm. I've been in my role for just over 9 months, but I've worked for the association for almost 11 years. So I've had some experience with the profession with our association, and I'm thrilled to be in the role.
11 years.
11
wow,
years.
That's a long time. But what did you do before?
So previous to my role as president and CEO, I served in a couple different capacities. So I started at the Society through our government affairs program and some of the work we do in advocacy. It evolved over my time here. So started specific on government affairs and legislative outreach, moved to do a little bit of that as well as our pipeline and student activities and educational foundation. So kind of had a little hand in those two things. I think we were thoughtful in thinking about our pipeline challenge as not only a student outreach opportunity, but as an advocacy opportunity. And so we combined those two programs functionally at least probably 8 or so years ago. And so I had the pleasure of working with our colleagues in those areas through that role, and then eventually became our president and CEO.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's as you know from you worked with Cal CPA and a number of other associations. These are small businesses, small organizations, and so you've got to be ready to work hard and to have a bunch of things on your plate. But it also is a ton of fun. So.
Oh, I would love to be a part of that. If you need any help,
yes,
as I mentioned, yes,
we're booking you for sure.
So you mentioned about student pipeline.
Yeah.
And I know that Mass CPA works a lot with high school students and also college students. Can you share with me in details 1 or 2 programs that you work with high school and college students?
Yeah, sure. So we think about our pipeline from a high school perspective almost as like inspiration. How are we inspiring the next generation? And then once we convince them, do such a good job that we've motivated them to consider a career in accounting, once they're in college, how do we support them? And so on the inspiration side, we do a bunch of different activities. So we do high school conferences, high school conference style programs, where quarterly we bring 100 or so high school students onto a college campus across the state and connect them with career professionals in that setting. So they're getting kind of on campus, a little familiarity with what that's like, as well as meeting CPAs and accounting professionals and learning a little bit about what a career could look like. So that's a really great program. We're thrilled. We're doing one in early November at Bentley University with Carla McCall, the chair of the AICPA, and so we're psyched about that. And we do them all year, and we love those.
She's in Massachusetts as well.
Yes, we're very proud of that. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and it's her alma mater, so it'll be a fun day.
Yeah.
And then we do another program. We do a bunch of different activities where we bring CPAs and accounting professionals into high schools throughout the state as well. And so those are one-off or ad hoc. We have a dedicated program over the summer called Accounting Career Exploratory Program. And that's a residential program on a college campus in Boston, here in Boston, where we bring high school students in for the whole week. So they're staying in the dorms. They have a program that lasts throughout the week where they're connecting with folks like yourself and learning a little bit about what you do while working on a case competition and really implementing what they're learning about the accounting profession in a real world setting. And so
I think that's an amazing program. I just talked to a staff about that program. I was like, wow, that's impressive. You literally have high school students stay on campus for like 2 or 3 days and then go through the whole programs. I don't know, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's a great program.
I haven't heard anything about that before.
Major kudos to our team because our two, Ali and Upasana, who work in our academic career development department, stay on campus with them. And so they're spending a bit of their summer as camp counselors. But it's a great program. And I think, we sort of measure the perception of the profession through the eyes of these students before the week starts and do it at the end, and you can really see a meaningful shift in how they think about what a career could potentially look like.
So since you interact a lot with high school students, what are typical questions they have for you or for CPAs in general?
Yeah, they have great questions, I would say. So as you're going out to talk to high school students particularly, be on your game, because they're so knowledgeable. I think it's so impressive every time I meet with a group of students like that. Just their level of comfort and familiarity with not just the accounting profession, because that's part of the challenge that we're working on, but just the concepts of work-life balance and having a meaningful career, and all of these priorities or values that they carry already is surprising.
That's so early.
Yeah, it's so early. It's so impressive. But I think it runs the gambit. I mean, I think what we hear about a lot now is what is happening with some of the emerging technologies that are, everywhere you look, there's talk about AI and what it will mean for the workforce. And so I think, fair enough, right? A lot of them want to know, okay, if I'm going to pursue this career, will I have a job? If I do have a job, what will it look like? And so those are typically the questions that we're
So what are your response for those questions?
Yeah, so I think, I'm stealing this from somebody, but I think it's a really good way to frame it is, I think there's the notion, right, that AI won't replace the CPA.
Mm-hmm.
AI will replace the CPAs who don't leverage AI. And so I think this generation who's so comfortable and sophisticated from a technology perspective is so ripe to go into a profession that's embracing these technologies, because the learning curve will be much less steep for them. And so I think we talk a little bit about what is already going on in the profession, how firms and CPAs and finance teams are already leveraging AI to help either their business or their clients make better decisions, and are showcasing some of that in some cases. And so I think you can see their excitement ratchet up as we go, and that's a positive thing, I think.
Wow, for high school students, they already think about that. I'm wondering about college students. They will be thinking even way further, like, what am I going to do 5 years, 10 years in the career, something like that. So what kind of questions college students normally ask?
Yeah, I think a lot of those want to know, what's my path? What does my path look like? And I think we spend a lot of time talking to them about, sort of the golden key concept, right? The CPA credential is a golden key to open any door. And so by getting that credential, or by studying accounting and going into this profession, you can choose your own path. And I think, you're a good example of that. You have a whole career and you're doing this as a side job. But there are so many different opportunities. And so we do try to spend a lot of time. We do a program called Next Step. So it talks all about, okay, you're a junior in college, you're a senior in college. What do you want to do? How do you want to leverage your skills? Here are all the different opportunities. So really connecting them with people that are out there in the field doing some really creative work.
Yes, connection. You talk about that point, because I know that a lot of students, I always recommend them that please join campus activities, make some connections, because you don't know who you're going to meet and who could help you to land your first job.
Yeah.
Talking about connections, I know that we have a lot of networking events at Mass CPA. How often do we have those kind of events, and who you attract to those events?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think at the core, associations are really conveners of people, resources, and information. And so everything we do is sort of through that lens. We do a bunch of different programming. I would say we probably have a couple dozen just strictly networking events throughout the state each year. We're doing one tomorrow at the Gillette Stadium, which is the home of the Patriots and the New England Revolution. So we'll hear from the CFO of the Revolution. Our members and some of our team will go and watch the game tomorrow night. And so there's that. We're doing a lot of cross-industry networking, which I think has been a huge interest, certainly, of our members, but also a huge need to really connect. CPAs are great, as you know, and CPAs love to network with other CPAs.
We love networking.
Love networking. But I think what we're finding is how much value there is in connecting CPAs with bankers and attorneys and CFAs and the sort of broad spectrum financial service, professional service organizations out there. And so we're doing a lot of that now, which is great. And then, of course, we have all of the learning and development opportunities where we really try, especially for the learning and development that has some sort of networking component. So generally the softer essential skills trainings, we still do those in person with some sort of networking component.
Do you mean like training for staffs or training for college students or like training for CPAs in general for soft skills?
CPAs in general, although we try to think about our leadership, our leadership development pipeline for all of our members. So every member from student member all the way up to late in their career professional is, when we're thinking about the resources that we're offering, how are we meeting them where they are in terms of their career spectrum? And so we have a leadership development roadmap that tries to help folks identify, okay, if you're a mid-career professional, here are the learning and development opportunities for you. If you're early career, if you're entering your career, here are the sort of resources that are cultivated based on that career step. And so
I guess you're talking about conference, like emerging leaders conference. Are those kind of events you're talking about?
So certainly there's that like traditional CPE piece of it, but I think there's a lot of supplementary activities that we also do that can help folks implement what they're learning in those situations. So committees and roundtables, some of the volunteer work that we talked about, if you're looking to get more comfortable in a public speaking setting, there's nothing more low risk than going out and doing it through us in a college campus or a high school setting. And so, that's kind of how we're thinking about it is, I think, workforce development broadly, not just the pipeline side, is a huge challenge for this profession. Thinking about that whole spectrum as one huge pipeline as opposed to segmented is sort of how we're approaching it.
Yes, I feel like with technology right now, we focus a lot on people. We focus a lot on how to develop soft skills because those things AI cannot replace.
Right, yeah, it's definitely the differentiator, right?
Yes, so that's why I feel like people focus more on like how to make people connected. And talking about connection within staff, within organization, I know Mass CPA is not a big organization. We have about 25 staffs within the organization.
Right.
So how do you make these 25 people feel connected on the top of attending all the events, activities, and on the top of that with the technology as well?
It's such a great question. I think it's the challenge facing every management professional in every industry, especially in this hybrid or remote work environment where, human connection is what people love about everything, right? It's people is generally the top thing that people say is what they value about their workplace. And so if you're not connecting with those people, is your satisfaction with your employer, with your job, does it increase or decrease? And so I think, wouldn't say that we found the right balance, but I do think we try to have meaningful connections when we are in person. And so really trying to be intentional about why we're bringing people together, what we want to do, what we want people to get out of it. And so I'd say that's how we handle it for our staff, but I think that's true of our membership too, is when we're bringing people together, we really want it to be meaningful and intentional.
Yes, I want to bring up a very good point that when I was waiting for you in the lobby, I heard people laughing and talking in the office, and I was like, oh my God, I missed that. I work remotely 100%.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, it's so nice.
It is. These are good. It's a Tuesday here. So Tuesday is generally our in-office day. We have everybody here. And it is like a fill your cup day. You get to connect with all of your colleagues. We try to schedule those like in-person meaningful meetings when we're here. So we had an all-staff meeting. Or we do our all-staff meetings generally on those days. Today we're actually celebrating a colleague's birthday, so that was part of the laughter and just take a beat and eat lunch together. And so, it's fun. We all work hard, but we all really seem to like each other, and that's the best part of it, I have to say.
I hope it's not just seems like, it's like you actually like each other.
Yeah, we do, I think, actually like each other, yeah.
But it's good that when people are happy with their job, and then they can provide better services, better activities for high school students or college students. So people can feel that you guys enjoy what you're doing, make them feel like this career is worth for them to consider?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the feedback I always hear from members is that it seems like a very cohesive team. And the impact of that is great member service, right? The
Yes.
people are interested and excited about their jobs. And so they show up and do well for the membership, which is, our number one. We have a bunch of different values as an organization, but the number one is that members are at the center of everything that we do. And so that really translates across, I think, all of those.
So for people who are listening to this podcast, I just moved from California to Massachusetts. That's why I have this interview with Zach, the president and CEO of Mass CPA. But as I told you, I had such an adventure day in Boston today. I went to the wrong line, red line instead of a green line. I spent literally 3 hours this morning to get to the destination I need.
Oh, thank you for doing it. But it is, Boston is not the most accommodating place if you're unfamiliar with the roads or the train situation. It's just an absolute maze. So
it's a
I'm happy you made
maze.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Mass CPA office is close to Chinatown. And so I just went to that Happy Lamb hot pot.
Delicious.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I'm like little girl, only 115 pounds, everyone, and 5'1", but I finished 4 plates of
Is that
meat.
right? Oh.
4 plates of meat, and then the server was surprised how much I could eat.
It is delicious. So if you're visiting from anywhere, give us a call. We'll tell you all the right places.
Yes, and check it out.
Yeah.
And maybe next time if we have a meeting, we can meet there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I should add, before we move on, other than the trains, how are you enjoying your time in Boston?
Oh, it's good. I really like the weather in the fall right now. I like the colors start changing on the leaves. I see like red and yellow. It's beautiful. It doesn't rain that much anymore in the summer because in California, it probably rains like 4 or 5 times the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved here in May, it rains 4 or 5 times in 1 week.
Yeah. And wait for a couple more months, it'll be snowing that much.
I know, right? And I was like, well, so far I enjoy the fall, so let me enjoy it for now.
Yeah, enjoy it.
And
This
I
is the
will
perfect
worry
time
about
to be
that.
here.
Yeah. What about that in the winter? About snow later.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Good.
talking about Mass CPA and Card CPA, because I was very involved with Card CPA, and as you know, Card CPA is a big state society.
Mm-hmm.
Compared with the big state society with Mass CPA, it's not too small, but it's not as big as Card CPA. What have you done to the state society, to the community, to support CPAs as well as to support future CPAs? Do you have to compare with Card CPA or any other state society to see how can you do it better? How can you collaborate with them?
Yeah, so we have a really great network of CPA society colleagues. And so really at every level within our organization, we have a whole community of colleagues at the same level who meet regularly and talk pretty regularly about what we're working on, the challenges that we're facing, some of the opportunities that we're trying to capitalize on. And so, Denise, who you know well from California.
Oh, I love her. She's amazing.
Amazing. She's been such a good resource for me as starting my role, but I know she's a real great friend and mentor to so many other CEOs, in part because of all the great work that they're doing in California and just how her innovative approach. And so we are spending a lot more time talking about things that we can do together. I mean, I think there are 50, give or take, 50 or so state societies around the country, which doesn't include the 4 U.S. jurisdictions. So there's even more of organizations like ours. And so I think that model doesn't translate well to a profession that now has no borders and thinks about clients from all sorts of places. And so, I mean, just thinking about your own journey in moving from California to Massachusetts. So, I think that's sort of what we're trying to think through now is what are some of the things that we can do together to help increase the value to our members across the country.
Yeah, at that point, you don't need to worry about how big or small it is anymore because it's all connected.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I'd say in some ways we're fortunate here in Massachusetts in that regionally we're so small. So for I talked to Denise who flies all over California to meet with members. I just have to drive a couple hours and I'm there. So that helps huge. I mentioned we'll be in Foxborough tomorrow night. We'll be in Worcester, which is the central part of our state on Thursday, and that's very easy for me and our team to kind of to get out and to meet with folks.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yeah,
at least you don't have to worry about the flying or the time consuming to commute from North California to South California. It takes probably like 1 hour at least flying.
Yeah, right.
And so
yeah, and this is, I mean, it really, the longest drive I have is probably 2 or 3 hours, so it makes it very easy.
That's make it a lot better.
Yeah.
I love my CPA process. You have so many activities. I feel like every single time I'm on LinkedIn, I see you have new activities,
Oh, yeah.
new posts, new pictures, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can relate just knowing sort of the firm environment, but I mean, there are so many different segments of our membership that are focused on so many different parts of the profession. And so, you know, like Calvin in New York and Denise in California, we're really trying to think about how do you service CPA-led profession that has a whole bunch of different components that we probably didn't have to think as much about, 20 years ago.
Yeah. So talking about CPA futures, as you know, there are a lot of mergers going on. And people are concerned that what if they want to have their own CPA practice in the future? They're concerned that they might not be able to run those small practices because one merger after another merger, even 2 big CPA firms just merged last month.
Yeah.
So what do you see the future for small CPA firms?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're actually already seeing it, which is, these mergers are great in so many cases. But they're not great for everybody, right? And so I think from both a client standpoint and a employee standpoint, there's a lot of shakeout. And what a lot of the shakeout is creating is new small firms. And so we are seeing that growth here in Massachusetts. We have a number of young entrepreneurial CPAs who are starting their own practices. A lot of them are sort of niche services as a way to allow for that growth. I think that maybe that traditional model of small firm that's, everything to everybody is really hard to, it's hard to see that growth right now, but I think I think we're really encouraged by the small firm growth that we're seeing. And I think we'll see more of that. I think there's no shortage of work to go around for those folks. And so, yeah, we're excited about that.